My name is Jillian Perrick, but my friends call me Jill. I'm a lover of all things orange chocolate. Think One Tree Hill is way better than the OC. And as a person who stutters, I strive to empower women with invisible disabilities to go after their dreams, just like I did. I'm a mindset coach specializing in imposter syndrome, helping women overcome their inner imposter with my master's in psychology and my certification in neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, EFT tapping, and time techniques. And this is the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. This podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneurial woman trying to navigate the online space with a lot of passion and a lot of uncertainty. If you feel like your ideas are unoriginal, that your message isn't necessary or important, or like you're a complete and total fraud, then you've come to the right place. This podcast will take you from imposter to empowered with ninja-like brain hacks, easy to implement strategies, and uplifting real talk to make you feel like everything you want is in reach. Find me on Instagram at YourCoachJill to let me know how much you loved this episode once you're done listening. Time to kick that inner imposter to the curb. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast with your coach, Jill. That's me. And it is November 17th as I'm recording this, but you're going to be listening to this probably the first week of December. I just wanted to give you guys a little update. Obviously, if you have been following me for a while, if you have me on Instagram specifically, or if you are a client of mine or a past client of mine, then you know that my childhood home burnt down on October 31st. It was an electrical problem, and my parents and my 26-year-old sister lived in the house. So now my sister is living with me. Her name's Larissa. She is Soapbox Moments on Instagram. Go look her up. She is a public speaking mentor. So Larissa's living with me now. That is why if you see any of my future videos or if you are on calls with me in the near future, you will see her bed behind me because she has taken over my office a little bit because it's our extra bedroom. But I just wanted to jump on here and give like an update, especially because I decided to work through my negative emotions by launching, and that was literally the biggest mistake of my life. And it wasn't the biggest mistake of my life. Wow. Am I so blessed that that is the biggest mistake of my life? But I just wanted to come on here because I talked about it a little bit on my Instagram live sometime earlier this week. And it was just about how I've spent the week after our house burnt down on Halloween night. My older brother was here and there was a ton of stuff going on, so I wasn't on Instagram at all. But the week after, I was like, okay, I'm going to publicly launch the From Imposter to Empowered group program because I got 6 people into the program and I was so excited through the waitlist launch, so that was great, but I wanted 10, potentially even 15, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna publicly launch. And my energy was just not in it, and I was a miserable mess the entire week, and I didn't sign anybody new. And it was just a really good lesson for me. It was a really harsh lesson in that, like, when your energy is not there, as much as your head logically is trying to say to you, like, you know, you need this, like, you need to do this because if you want more people, if you want to rack up more coin this month, like if you want to have more like recurring payments and stuff, which is always like logically where our heads go, right? If you want more recurring income, etc., then you should publicly launch. But my heart and like my body was like, you're tired, like you're exhausted. You just went through a very traumatic event. You've been talking to people constantly. You've been housing your sister. You've been doing so many fucking things that maybe it's time that you just take a break. Or maybe you just like don't show up for a couple weeks because you know that you have a Black Friday sale thing coming up. You need to preserve your energy. And I didn't listen to any of that shit. And like I started up my routines again as I was launching, but I didn't do any meditation or journaling for like 2 weeks. And I really noticed a dip in my energy. I noticed that I was really complacent. And I also noticed that I was just like uninterested in pushing forward in my business, even though because I have recurring income with my current clients, like things are fine, like things are great. And I have a team who was really supportive during that time, but it still didn't negate the fact that I didn't listen to my emotions or my body. And when you are a really logical person, a really analytical person who uses their head and is not used to trusting themselves, who's not used to trusting this is what my body's trying to tell me right now, I need to listen to it. When you're not used to that, this is the behavior that happens. And because I wasn't doing my routines, because I wasn't journaling, because I wasn't meditating and leaving space for my brain to breathe, to think. And I usually like take baths. I maybe showered twice that week, and they were really quick because we literally were going to bed relatively late and then getting up and going to my grandma's house, getting stuff out of the house and like looking for our cat and doing all these things. It was just a really emotionally draining couple of weeks. I didn't do any of my routines or anything, and I fucking noticed. And literally, this happens all the time. If I go through a spell in which I don't do it, I'll be thinking to myself, I really need to meditate. I really need to leave the time to journal. And even though I know it's going to affect me later, I still don't do it. And then I come to this conclusion that, fuck, I probably should have done that. But anyways, I digress. Do your fucking routines, people. There is a podcast episode coming out later this month in which I actually talk about having your routines and why they are so good for helping you overcome your inner imposter. So keep an eye out for that. But just in general, if you are going through a personal crisis and you're really worried about your business, I want you to just remember that your business will always be there because you are your business. Your ideas, your innovation, how you run your business, you have to treat yourself how you want to be treated. And you would never work at a job where people were demanding you to work through a trauma or work through something that's really emotional for you. You would want a supervisor or the CEO or whatever to be like, you need to take the time that you need. Work is work. And of course, this is your livelihood. Of course, you have clients relying on you, but people are really understanding and they are very kind. And when you come from that belief of I'm supported no matter what, it may not be easy, but allowing yourself to be supported by other people and allowing yourself the space and room to emotionally respond to difficult events, just like with the pandemic, like people are so hard on themselves. There's that meme that's like talking about how like you think it's okay for other people to not be productive or organized during a pandemic, but when it comes to you, like you're not allowed. You know what I mean? Like there's some type of like meme, and that is basically how I always used to feel, is like I don't deserve to relax. Like I don't deserve to take the time that I need. That is a belief issue in terms of the deserving and the worthiness. And I always would, if I had something that was emotional that I was going through, I never allowed myself to feel or take time to heal because I thought it was unproductive, because I thought that I wasn't moving the needle if I was allowing myself to feel my feelings and really work through things. But the thing is you pay for that later. If you, just like I did, if you push through a launch when you really don't want to be doing it, you are going to pay for it later because you're going to feel exhausted and it may not even turn out the way that you want, and you're going to beat yourself up anyways. God or the universe or angels were looking out for me when I did not sign another person during the public launch for the From Imposter to Empowered program, because whoever it was like, hey, I'm not rewarding you for this not listening to your body and not listening to your emotions and bypassing everything that you teach your clients to not bypass. And it's true. I would guilt myself or shame myself for having a feeling or for working through something when I would never say that to my clients. And compassion is honestly the antidote to your inner imposter. I was like, who is going to want to learn from me when I can't show up during a difficult time and like share and still be helpful and motivating? And it was really funny because I just signed somebody for the program the day before our first call, and she was like, I'm so glad that you were open about your launch and you were vulnerable and like you really speak the truth, and I really love that about you and I love your energy. And she paid in full for the From Imposter to Empowered program. And I was like, well, shit, where were you during my public launch? I'm just kidding. But I think that's really important to note, is that like our thoughts are just liars. Your thoughts are liars, and they are derived from the experiences that you have had in the past. And if you have negative beliefs about yourself that you're still working through, if you have things that you constantly say to yourself, if you don't afford yourself the compassion because there's some guilt or shame or some level or element of I don't deserve to feel good or to heal or to like work on myself or to take a break, that is something that you definitely need to work on and you'll always be working on because, I've been doing this personal development work since 2018, like really digging into it. And does that mean that I've unlearned everything from when I was a child? Of course not. Like there's still stuff that comes up often, obviously, with this launch, with this emotional event that happened to me and my family. Like it was something that I was always so petrified of. I was so worried that, God forbid, somebody dies, like knock on wood. I was so afraid that if something were to happen, I was like, fuck, what's going to happen with my business? And at first I would feel a lot of guilt for thinking something like that. But showing up is a big part of my business. And when you show up at the right times, in the right energy, people are magnetized to that. I want you to think of somebody who you really love, who you're just magnetized to. For me, probably like Amanda Francis. Like I love her. And even though she's a bit unorthodox and she's kind of funny and she has her own quirks, I just feel very magnetized to her. But when she shows up, I watch her stories. And if she is only uploading 3 stories a day, I watch them. I purchase her stuff. And it's not because she shows up 24 hours a day, always showing up on Instagram stories, always giving value. There's a lot of the time when she's just posting her personal life. And she'll post maybe like 1 YouTube video a week or every 2 weeks or something, and I'll watch it. And it's not so much about the content that she's putting out. It honestly is like how self-believing she is, how when she talks from the heart, and she's very magnetizing. And of course, there's an element of when you start out, you need to show up. You need to like show your face, introduce yourself, be there so people can get to know you. But then I think that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to maintain. And you see, the right people are going to be attracted to you. And when they get to know you and they know your vibe, they know your energy, and like you give good value, it doesn't have to be 24/7. If you give good value though, people will come back and they will tell themselves, I'm going to work with Jill at some point next year, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. The amount of no's that I heard, by the way, during this entire process for the From Imposter to Empowered program was astronomical, but that's okay because first of all, Q4 I guess is kind of low when it comes to like people that buy because it's the holidays and all that. But also a lot of people were like, you know what, this isn't the offer for me, or I really want to work with you. It's just right now is not a good time. And honestly, yes, I've objection handled before really well. I'm not opposed to it. I think that there's inappropriate times to objection handle. And honestly, I am so grateful for the people that are in the From Imposter to Empowered program, the first round. It's going to be fucking amazing. And I'm so excited. So yes, essentially, you really need to listen to your body and listen to your emotions when you are experiencing something traumatic or difficult. And I also want you to lean on the people that you need to lean on. I want you to lean on your team if you have them. If you don't, I want you to lean on your family or your friends or whoever you can. So you can update them and let them know what's going on, like even just a little bit, because people want to help or they want to support or they just want to send you good vibes and positivity, or they just want to chat and see if you're okay. Like honestly, I was very overwhelmed with the amount of people in my business space who were so nice and so sweet and like checked in on me. It was honestly very humbling to see, and people want to be there for you. And if you are going to allow that compassion from other people, you also have to allow it from yourself as well. So allowing yourself to heal, allowing yourself to take the time that you need, because your business will be there. Once you're past like feeling the initial trauma and experiencing what you've experienced, your ideas will come back. You will have inspiration again. I was so worried because I was like, fuck, I have no inspiration for Instagram posts or anything. And it's only been like a week and a half or like 2 weeks at this point. And it all started to come back because I was leaving the space. I was letting myself heal after that fucking train wreck launch last week. With regards to the launch, the reason why it was a train wreck was just because my energy was just not there. I could not show up properly, and I was forcing myself to show up, and I felt despondent and sad and like frustrated, but also was subconsciously not available for new people joining because I just didn't want to talk to anybody. And with mindset, there is an element of people wanting to hear how it's going to help them and how it's going to change their life. And I just wasn't available for it last week. And the universe was like, see, well, because you're not available, we ain't doing it. So just be kind to yourself. Show yourself the compassion that you were never afforded in your childhood or that you desperately really want from somebody else. Like, how can you show yourself the compassion at this time? And don't put parameters around your healing. Don't say, well, if I don't deal with this emotional trauma by next week, then something's wrong with me, or this is bad, or however you choose to heal. Don't shame or guilt yourself about that. Let yourself love and be loved and heal, and you'll be all right. You'll be okay. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk, to my update about everything after the house fire at my childhood home. Again, if you are in my community, I love you and I am so happy that you're here. I hope that you can work through stuff in your life and know that no matter what, your business is going to be here because you are your business and you are the CEO and you decide what time you have off, you decide how you take a break, and you decide how you treat yourself. You are allowed to heal. You're allowed to work through this shit that's hard. You're allowed to come out on the other side resilient and amazing. And everything that you go through is either a lesson or a blessing. And if you choose to see it that way, then you can never go wrong. So I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Leave a review so I can continue to make amazing free content for you guys. And speaking of free content, you can go to the link in my show notes and download my free 30-day journaling prompt workbook to help you overcome your inner imposter and attract the abundance you deserve. And finally, screenshot this episode and share it to your Instagram story, tagging me at YourCoachJill so I can share it on my page. See you next time.